Okay, let's move on to a couple other concepts related to functions. Before we even go in there, I just want to show you one more thing. Okay, so I think we are okay. Okay, so for we did the commissions calculation as mini project one. So when you like use an array, the next concept after that is to have like a collection of objects, not individual elements. So let me like talk a little bit about JavaScript functions and with an example. So let's say like we have a function to calculate BMI, or we want to report BMI. BMI is the body mass index. So we want to report BMI of our employees. So for example, so here we are going to be learning about JavaScript objects. So let's say like I have 3. Let's say I have an employee. So it's John, Mary, Keith. Let's say there are 3 employees. So that's an array. Then I want to capture their weights, how much they weigh. So I'm going to say John weighs 165 pounds. Everything is in pounds. So Mary weighs 146 and Keith weighs 200 pounds. Now we want to get their heights. So this guy weighs 60 inches, 50, 56, 67 inches. So how BMI works is BMI will be the weight times 703 divided by height square. Height square. Okay, so this is the formula for BMI. Okay, look at this array. This is one array, this is one array, this is one array. We have made these as we are looking at it as the first element of this is related to the first element of this array, which is related to the first element of this array. As such, we don't have a person called John. We just have a name called John. We have a weight called 165. We have a height of 60. But we don't have any person called John. So if we had a person called John and then his name is John, if we have a person, his name is, he has a name and that is John. He has a weight, he has a height, he has an address, he has a telephone number. So that is when, instead of using simple variables, we go to more of an aggregate, which is called as an object. Okay, so here we have 3 disjointed arrays we are using somehow to make it work to capture some information about employees. So instead, how would it look if we have to have a person who is going to be, his name is John, his weight is 165 and his height is 60. Okay, so this is a person. Okay, so this is what an object is all about. Okay, when you have disjointed like this, you can't look at it as an entity, like one cohesive object. So you want to look at it as one cohesive object, and that is when you go for basically object. So this is a JavaScript object. So if you want multiple persons to be created, so that's going to become an array, right? So you're going to have an array. So that is an array. So the first person is that. Then you have 2 more people. So this is one object from here to here, right? That is one object. So let's put that in one line. What's the second person? Second person is going to be Mary, and she weighs 146, and she is 56 inches tall. And the third person is going to be Keith. He weighs 200 pounds and is 67 inches tall. So this is called as object array, an array of objects. Okay, so one object is this guy, this is another object, and this is another object. So these individual things that we have here are called as their properties. That makes sense, right? So you have a person whose name is a property and it is John. You have a person here whose name is Mary, her weight is 146. So it is all related to that one particular object. Okay, and that is where it makes sense. So sorry, instead of saying person, let me call it as employees. Okay, we'll remove all this. So that is one cohesive object I have. Okay, now I want to calculate this person's BMI and create a property called BMI and assign the value. So I have multiple people here. There are 3 people here. I have to go through each person. So normally I would think of using a for loop, right? So which is probably what most of you did when you did your the commission exercise. But in this particular situation, what we are going to be doing is we have like a shortcut. So we can say employees dot for each. So this is one of the methods of the array, right? So for each employee, we have to do something. Okay, what are we going to do for each employee? So this does the looping for us. The for each method does the looping for us. For each employee, I want to do something. Well, you've looked at functions that have name. Now you're looking at a function that has no name. So a no name function is called as an anonymous function. And it's going to come very handy when we do like jQuery to use anonymous functions. So in this case, it's an anonymous function because I'm just defining it as I go. There is no need for a name in this situation because anytime that I would need it, I already have it here. For each employee, it is going to call this anonymous function and do something. So when you use a for each function, the parameters here are pretty much set in stone. Okay, for a for each function, when you use a for each, what you're sending to the anonymous function, it's going to be anonymous function, and then you're going to be sending in the parameters will be the actual item. So if your employee, which item you're going to be like iterating through, so it will go one by one, that item, that particular item. In this case, we can call it as the employee. So it is called as also the current value of that employee array. Then we can send the index if we want, and we can send the parent array. The whole employee is one if we want to. So in our situation, what we are going to do though is we just want to send the current employee. Okay, this employee is an object. See how it has name, weight, and height. Okay, so here we are going to say employee dot weight times 703 divided by employee dot height. Times employee dot height. So this is going to be the employee's BMI. So this whole thing, we did not need a for loop, right? Because we use the for each, we don't need a for loop. So what this does internally is loop through each and every object. So the first time it comes, it will have John in the employee. Second time it loops through, it will have Mary in the employee. in this M.